So I think many people have no idea what's been going on in Uzbekistan. I didn't know what was going on until I started hearing about it in 2006. I mean, there was a report put out by EJF, the Environmental Justice Foundation, and even before that, the International Crisis Group, about the fact that the Uzbek government is the one that actually sanctions the schools to be closed, and not only the children but the teachers and all the school administrators have to go out to the cotton fields every fall and harvest cotton. Now, this is nothing new. This is a practice that's been going on since Soviet times. But since Uzbekistan had its freedom from the Soviet Union and became independent, it continued the practices. The money's going right into the pockets of the regime, and it's not making its way down to the people. So the children are being forced to leave school. They have no choice, and they earn next to nothing for working 7 days a week, 10-hour days in awful conditions. There isn't clean water for them to drink. They are made to sleep in very horrid conditions. They injure themselves. And even in 2008, during the harvest, there was known 5 deaths of children during the cotton harvest. The U.S. government has been talking to Uzbekistan about their human rights abuses, not only what's going on in the fields, but also in their prisons and the suppression of independent media. For years, they've been talking to the Uzbek government, but the Uzbek government has not responded at all to the calls for improvement in human rights. So we're looking at how do we impact them with the pocketbook. I mean, pocketbook does talk, and we've actually seen action happening over the last year. We've heard from our sources that even at the highest levels, all the way up to the president of Uzbekistan, that they know that Walmart has boycotted Uzbek cotton. They know that other U.S. and European brands and retailers have taken action, and they don't want to have a bad reputation in the global marketplace, and that's exactly what's happening. They're the 3rd largest exporter of cotton in the world. So where is this cotton going? That's a good question. It's mostly staying in the region. A lot of it's going to Bangladesh, some is going to China and other Southeast Asia countries where there's a lot of apparel and other home goods and furnishings that are made coming to the United States. So even though Uzbek cotton is not coming directly into the United States, it's coming into the U.S. made with forced child labor through clothing and other products. Cotton merchants, traders, brokers, that whole world of commodity trading is a black hole. Nobody knows exactly who they are, where it goes, if it all gets mixed together or not. From a social responsible investor point of view, they aren't publicly traded companies that are doing this. Some of them are small mom and pop shops, or they've been doing it for years. It's been passed down through families, and they're mostly privately held companies. So how do we impact that role? Because it's the merchants who are buying this, and then they're selling it to spinners and mills. So by contacting the brands and retailers, educating them about this situation, letting them know that they have influence with factories that are making their product. They get their product from various fabric and textile suppliers, and those are the people that need to send the message down to the traders and brokers that forced child labor is unacceptable completely, and that there need to be both environmental and human rights standards in place for all the product that's being traded in the world. If you're looking at both the harvesting and the mining of raw materials, what's happening there? That's where you hear about some of the most egregious human rights abuses as well as environmental degradation. And we are very concerned that this product is making its way up through the supply chain into the products that the companies we hold in our portfolios are selling. And so our biggest concern is what is happening at that level. And we feel that the companies that we do hold in our portfolios and the SRI, the Social Responsible Investment Community, they have very strict standards for how the companies that are in their portfolios conduct business. So if there is something like forced labor, bonded labor, child labor, if there's a lot of pollution or other types of degradation happening at the raw commodity level, this is a very huge concern for us. So in addition to the negative consequences of the raw materials, on the risk side, on the opportunity side, if you really manage your supply chain well, there's all kinds of advantages that could happen there. Not only do you know that you have integrity in your supply chain, but also you could have higher motivation of employees who feel great about working at your company. Also, the communities that you are impacting, what happens there. You can also, it directly impacts the bottom line in regards to minimizing cost, minimizing waste, improving quality. First of all, we're asking companies to get to know their supply chain. Like many companies, when we first brought this issue up, had no idea where their raw materials were coming from. And they can do that in a number of ways, but it just starts with asking their suppliers where the cotton comes from. So it starts with that, and then looking at where are the risks, and is some of the companies that we have contacted and started a dialogue with have decided that if there is a large risk, such as in Uzbekistan, that they no longer want to have Uzbek cotton in their supply chain until the government of Uzbekistan changes its practices. So if that's the case, then you do need to know country of origin of your product and make sure that if that's something you're committed to, that that product is not making it into your supply chain. First of all, I want to acknowledge that the work that we have been doing over the past year is having an impact. In fact, in the just recently, the Uzbek government has ratified both the Worst Forms of Child Labor ILO Convention as well as the Minimum Age Convention. That's through the International Labor Organization. So now that they've ratified those conventions, they could invite the ILO in to do an assessment of what's going on the ground. Let the ILO do what it's best at, which is looking at what the situation is, looking at how those conventions now could be implemented and actually make a true impact on what's happening on the ground. But that needs to start with the Uzbek government acknowledging the fact that there is child labor happening and that they are part of the cause of that. I think consumers could take an interest in understanding what all goes into the products that they're buying. Is recycled content being used? Is there integrity in how that raw material, if it's cotton or cocoa or sugar, how it's being harvested? And reward the companies that are taking that extra step, going that extra mile to make sure that any product or any raw material that goes into their product is both harvested or mined with the environment and the people who are involved with it in mind, so that there is dignity in the workplace and there isn't awful environmental impact. This is the wave of the future. The Pandora's box has been opened, so to speak, or the black box has been blown apart, in that the companies can't hide anymore the impact of their supply chain. So take responsibility for it. It comes back in the long run. There are many benefits that they'll reap the rewards of because of it.